Hello everybody and welcome to Bull Technology. In January of 2022, I posted a video review of Opera GX, the gaming-focused web browser by the infamous Opera Software Corporation. It appears that I had one of the earlier reviews of GX, and as far as I can tell, mine was one of the first critical reviews. Well, over the past couple years, the video has racked up quite a few views, as well as dislikes, and I feel it is time to re-review this infamous browser, and answer this question. What's changed? Is it worse or better, and is Opera GX still a terrible browser? And in the interest of full disclosure, Opera Software isn't sponsoring this video, and all of the opinions you're about to hear are entirely my own, unlike some YouTubers. Now, admittedly, my last review wasn't the best, but I stand with the opinions and critiques I had of Opera GX. This review, though, will have fewer comparisons to other web browsers, and yes, this time I will be testing GX on my gaming PC. Opera GX was introduced in 2019 by Opera Software, the largely Chinese-owned company responsible for developing a host of other browsers over the years. GX is available for macOS, Windows, Android, and iOS. Looking at GX's website reveals that not much has changed since my last review. Opera is still peddling this browser as gamer-oriented, and they still amazingly claim that it has an award-winning design. But even more interestingly is this claim of privacy. Indeed, Opera has an entire section on their webpage dedicated to privacy, which is ironic, as we will see later. Opera claims that with Opera's secure browser, your privacy comes first. They tout their free VPN, tracking protection, and built-in ad blocker as evidence of this, but more on that in a little bit. Back to the main page, and Opera boasts GX's customization features are superior and that there are many other features built into the browser. I think it's about time we install Opera GX, though. Interestingly enough, the download page is similar to something I came across several months ago. Indeed, when I was installing Optifine for Minecraft several months ago, I had this pop-up appear in Google Chrome. Apart from the pop-up deception, I don't think it's a good sign how much Opera is trying to push this browser down everyone's throats. Anyways, we are now prompted with the installer, and you know what? Let's take a quick look through the end-user license agreement to see what we're really signing up for. Now, this is about as long as a dissertation, but I did find some interesting items related to privacy. First, if you are a Windows user, Opera GX contains a browser assist built in that monitors all of your computer's hardware and Windows notifications, and of course reports this data back to Opera. Also, under the section titled Personalized Content, Opera also alarmingly discloses that they collect data pertaining to articles you read in the newsfeed and your general geolocation. Interesting. Also alarming is that they disclose even certain mouse clicks and website data is collected and sent to Opera. Now, this data collection isn't unique to Opera, and some of it can be disabled, but for a browser claiming they value privacy, it's certainly ironic. You should also know that unlike Google or Mozilla, the parent company of Opera is Kunlun Tech, a Chinese company that is required to disclose all the data they collect to the Chinese government. I highly suggest you check out this video by Quibik, wherein he outlines exactly what's going on with GX, but this is just something to consider. As far as the actual browser is concerned, I would like to use 2 of the 3 metrics from my last video to assess Opera GX as it stands now. That is design and features. Resource usage is being dropped because I feel like the book has pretty much been shut on that metric. Because of its bloat and larger feature set, this browser, regardless of RAM and CPU limiters, uses more system resources. And if you'd like to see that in action, you can view my previous video. But now on to the design. The overall design hasn't changed much. The browser still features a sidebar with various features, the GX corner gimmick, and many customization options. My criticism largely remains the same. Web browsers should focus more on web content rather than having a flashy UI, and they should prioritize efficiency. GX just does this poorly. The overarching design language is clunky and feels outdated and flashy, and while there are plenty of customization options, what use are these customization options if the underlying foundation, the basic design, is just terrible? Opera GX still calls the homepage the speed dial for some reason, and now widgets can be added, which are little more than distracting overlays. Just look at how hideous these pinned icons look with the search bar. Yeah. Also, now you can add game strips to the bottom of Speed Dial, which are small, pointless mini-games, but currently there are only 24 games available. I mean, why is this even a thing? Moving on to GX Corner, which is an always-present gaming center that compiles various gaming info, and come on, I mean, do I really need to know that Rate My Gear by Asus comes out on June the 30th? I mean, who's actually using this page for anything? Now, the sidebar has been given some increased functionality, most notably AI integration, but couldn't you just bookmark these things? I mean, why does there need to be an always-present sidebar for this? The sidebar is also where GX Control is located, and this is where RAM and the CPU can be limited, which you might need for this browser because I was able to catch this on camera. Apparently, while idling with just the homepage open, it's consuming 1.23 gigabytes of RAM. I don't really know how that's even possible, and I think it demonstrates the bloat caused by all of these supposed features. The worst offense of Opera GX, though, is the design and layout of the settings, which still makes no sense and is barren on some things, but overly complicated on others. And yes, these are still the only options Opera GX gives you for privacy and security. Yeah, overall, the design of Opera GX has changed very little, and it's still just awful. Moving on to features, though, and we have to start with my favorite feature, or should I say my least favorite feature, browser sounds. Yes, Opera GX will still play sounds every time you click a button or change a toggle switch. And I might have missed this before, but this also extends to typing on the keyboard. Yes, that's right, every time you type, you'll hear synthetic keyboard clicks like you're on a smartphone for some reason. I mean, what? I've only seen this with digital keyboards for feedback, but why on earth would you want this on a desktop browser? Oh, and I should mention that this extends to the mouse movement as well. Don't you just love swooshing sounds every time you move the cursor over a button? Now, this can be turned off, but why even include this as a feature in the first place? Other features in GX aren't fully fleshed out either. The built-in free VPN really isn't a VPN as you might have guessed. As Linus Tech Tips uncovered, it's merely a proxy service that tanks your networking performance. The free ad blocker is, well, kind of wishy-washy. In some cases, it works great at blocking ads, but in others, it's just a miss. I'd much prefer installing something like AdBlock Plus on Chrome. One of the few praises I had of GX in my last review was the mini player, which allows you to pop out videos and play them independently of the browser UI. This is still a feature that works well enough, and so too does the built-in screenshot tool, but many of the features in Opera GX are just gimmicky and repetitive. Sidebar? What's wrong with a bookmarks bar? Screenshot tool? What's wrong with your OS's screenshot tool? Gaming section thing? Don't standalone websites present this information just better? So after a few days of using Opera GX again, the word I have to describe it is just why. Why? Some might be won over by its flashy UI, some might be won over by its half-baked features, some might be won over or conned by pop-up marketing, but my advice to gamers and non-gamers alike is this: avoid Opera GX. It's a dubious company, and it's a dubious product. And that, for now, is my verdict. Be sure to leave a like, a comment, and definitely subscribe. And thank you all for watching.